Have you been seeing 11:11 everywhere, waking up at 3 in the morning, feeling unusually tired, emotional, and much more sensitive to people and places than you used to be? These can all happen during spiritual awakening or ascension process. And today I want to help you understand what may be actually happening when your energy begins to change. So if you've been wondering whether you're imagining all of this, stay tuned. Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Anna Grace, and I'm an angel manifestation teacher and a crystalline transformation architect. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the weekly videos. We dive into topics like Atlantis, manifestation, awakening. And today we're talking about spiritual awakening symptoms, what they can feel like in your body and your emotions, your energy, and how to understand what may be actually changing inside of you. For me, spiritual awakening is not usually one dramatic moment where suddenly the heavens open and you understand everything, you feel enlightened. Of course, people can have very powerful spiritual experiences that changes everything, but most of the time, awakening unfolds more gradually. You begin to notice energy differently. Your intuition becomes suddenly stronger. Certain things that never bothered you before suddenly affect you. And you may find that simply you just cannot go through life exactly the same way as you did before. And this is really important because awakening is not only something happening in your thoughts. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. So when your inner world begins to change, we can sometimes feel that through the body, through our emotions, and through the way we experience the world around us. And one of the most common things people notice is tiredness. You may suddenly need more sleep, feel like normal rhythm is just too much, or wonder why you're exhausted, even though you don't think you're doing anything dramatically different. And sometimes what is happening is that you've been pushing yourself for such a long time. As your awareness changes, your body starts becoming much less willing to keep running on the old energy. We're so used to thinking that being productive means that we're doing well. And we push, we work, we take care of everybody, we keep moving. And then when the body starts saying, I need you to slow down, we can become frustrated with ourselves. But during awakening, rest can become part of the transformation because everything becomes quieter. You begin noticing what all of that constant doing has been covering. Maybe you suddenly realize how much a certain environment exhausts you. Maybe you notice that you're giving far more energy to other people than you understood before, or that your daily life is built around things that you don't really actually feel nourished by anymore. So instead of immediately fighting the tiredness, listen to what it's showing you right now. Sleep when you need to sleep. Sleep around the clock if you need to. Take care of your body. Go outside, drink your water, and give yourself some quiet time and see what becomes clearer when you stop forcing yourself to operate exactly the way you always have been. Some people also notice physical sensations during periods of energetic change. It might be pressure around the head. You might get headaches, tingling, warmth, buzzing sensations, feeling that your body is more sensitive than usual. Some people feel dizzy. Obviously, if you're getting really strong headaches and something physical feels unnatural, you get worried, go and get it checked because we have bodies and we need to take care of them. But once you've done the sensible thing, you don't have to become afraid of every sensation either. These are Ascension symptoms. These are normal symptoms. Sometimes increased sensitivity simply makes us more aware of what has always been inside our bodies. And the inner headache has become louder. because there's something causing it, something nagging, something pushing, something knocking, like, hey, notice this, and your head reacts. And so we experience this like spiritual energy very physically. But then there are these night wakings, and especially waking somewhere around 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. A lot of spiritually sensitive people tell me they go through like phases where this happens again and again. And there's something very particular about those quiet hours and the world, when the world around you is very still. And maybe you have had some dreams, maybe you remember, you don't remember, but you wake up from these dreams. So the ancient Egyptians believed, so here I have an ankh from Egypt made by a child. So the ancient Egyptians believed, this is the key of life ankh, that during the nighttime our soul goes through the loop, that the ankh, it comes to the other side, it goes to heavenly realms, and then you learn there, or you're with God, you're with angels, you go here and there, you do like we all do different things, but you go during the night, you go through here and you go to these realms, and then at 2, 3, 4 a.m., your soul comes back. If this happens to you, don't immediately grab your phone and fill that quiet space at night with everybody else's energy. Just lie there for a moment and notice that what you feel, notice what you were dreaming about. Try to remember, open up your mind when what you're feeling, what thought is suddenly present. Where did you come from? Sometimes it's something beautiful that wants your attention and wants you to remember. When you relax into it, you don't fight it. And sometimes you simply wake up and you just go back to sleep. You don't have to make every night waking into some huge spiritual event, but know that this is part of the symptoms. When you're awakening, you may very well have more disruptive, a kind of disruptive sleep. But I do think those quiet moments can become very revealing at night, because during the day, we're constantly like receiving information from everywhere. And at 3 in the morning, there may be nothing between you and your own heart and the spirit world, and the divine energies. And sometimes that's exactly when something you've been avoiding becomes very clear. So another very common awakening experience is seeing repeating numbers, angel numbers, we call them. 1111, for example. Maybe you look at the clock and there it is again. And you see the same number on your phone, on a receipt, on a screen, or on a car, somewhere completely random. And after a while, it can almost feel funny because you start thinking like, okay, I see you. You keep seeing the same thing over and over. I personally don't think you need to memorize a giant encyclopedia of angel number meanings. For me, it's most important, most powerful part of a sign is often simply a moment of connection. If I see 1111 or another number that feels meaningful to me, I like to notice what I was just thinking in that moment, right before, or what I was feeling, what's happening in my life, what's going on, and I pay attention to it. And instead of looking for the answer from outside, I look for the answer on the inside. And the universe can use very ordinary things to get our attention. And sometimes the sign isn't to predict your future or give you a complicated instruction. Sometimes it simply wakes you up for 1 second and brings you back to awareness. You're here, you're connected, pay attention. It could be a feather too. It could be anything, a rainbow. It could be all these divine messages. And when these ascension symptoms start happening, you may also notice that your emotions become much stronger, and you might cry more easily. You might feel enormous joy over something very simple, be deeply moved by music or nature, or suddenly have an old emotion that comes back and that you thought you dealt with years ago. I don't automatically see that as going backwards. Sometimes we understand something mentally long before every part of us has actually moved through it. We might like, oh, I've dealt with that already, but the 3D realm is still, some part of you is still holding on. So an old sadness might come up because now there's finally enough space for it to move. Something beautiful can touch you more deeply because your heart is more open than it was before. You're capable more now. You don't need to analyze every tear. Sometimes you can simply let yourself feel what you're feeling and allow it to move. Awakening can make us much more honest emotionally because the things that we used to push away become so much harder to ignore. Sensitivity is another huge part of this for many people. Noise can feel louder. Crowds may exhaust you faster, or you may immediately feel the atmosphere before anybody has said anything. Or notice that one conversation leaves you feeling completely drained while another person makes you feel lighter and more like yourself. And sometimes people can become afraid of this and think like, why am I becoming so sensitive? There's something wrong with me. But sensitivity is really what it is information. And it doesn't mean that you have to hide from life or decide that everybody else's energy is dangerous or I need to avoid everything. It simply means that you're learning to notice what happens inside of you when you move through different environments. And of course, for all these sensitivities, there are many ways we can deal with them more through clearing our energy, for shielding our energy. I have videos for that as well. But this is where energetic hygiene becomes very helpful. And I love using light. And you can imagine beautiful white, golden light flowing through and around your body. And you can ask Archangel Michael to surround you and protect your energy. You might feel better after being in nature, taking a shower or being near water, opening a window, sitting quietly for a few minutes and simply giving yourself space after being around a lot of people. The point is not where a perfect spiritual routine for this. The point is that you begin learning about your own energy more and what helps you come back home to your heart, home to yourself, to your center, to your power. And there is an awakening symptom that I actually think can be deeper than all of the other ones. And that is when your old life starts to feel like it doesn't fit you anymore. Nothing necessarily has to be wrong. Your job may be fine, your relationships may look fine, your life may look perfectly normal from the outside, and yet inside of you, this growing sense that something has to change. Maybe conversations you used to enjoy just don't give you a spark anymore. They feel empty. Maybe a relationship pattern you've tolerated for years now becomes impossible to ignore. And you start feeling like no for that anymore. Maybe you're tired of pleasing everybody, making yourself smaller, or living other people's dreams or according to what you're supposed to want instead of what you actually truly want for yourself. And this can be confusing because the outside world may not have changed at all, while you yourself, you have changed. And sometimes awakening is not about seeing more signs. It's about becoming so much more honest with yourself that you can no longer comfortably pretend that an old version of you still fits when it really doesn't. And you know it's time for a change. You know it's time to upgrade, up level your life. That doesn't mean you have to blow your life up tomorrow. It means you begin listening. What do I feel drawn to today? What gives me energy? What brings me joy? What am I constantly thinking about? Where do I feel alive? And where do I feel like I'm just performing a version of myself because that's what everybody expects? Those questions are part of spiritual awakening too. Why am I here? What does my dream life look like? When I speak about crystalline evolution here on this channel, this is one of the ways I understand what's happening. I believe we're becoming able to hold more light, more truth, more love through our physical lives. And as that happens, anything that is deeply out of alignment can become much harder to ignore. The awakening is not supposed to take you away from your life. It should bring you more deeply into it. You may still have to go to work in the morning and have relationships, have bills, responsibilities, your physical body. But something changes in the way that you meet all of those things because you're no longer moving through your life completely asleep to yourself. So if you've been experiencing some of these symptoms, I'd like to hear about it. Notice what you're actually changing in you. Maybe you're seeing 11:11 everywhere. Maybe you're waking up during those quiet hours. Maybe your emotions are stronger, your sensitivity is increasing, or your body is asking you to slow down. Listen. But underneath all of that, ask yourself whether you're becoming more aware of what is true for you. Are you noticing energy more clearly? Are you becoming more conscious of the life you're creating? Are you wanting to create? Are you hearing your intuition more strongly? Are you beginning to recognize where you've been living from fear or out of habit, out of old programming, or other people's expectations instead of your own deeper knowing? That to me is where awakening becomes really, really meaningful. If this is speaking to you, tell me in the comments and what you've been noticing lately. I'd love to hear that. Maybe it's 11:11. Maybe it's 4:44. Maybe it's the night waking, headaches, dizziness, stronger emotions, or maybe it's something deeper feeling, something in your life is changing. You can't completely go back to who you were before. And if you want to go deeper into this work with me, I would love to welcome you into Crystalline Portal. That is my meditation library, my meditation app. You'll find soul journeys, crystalline activations, past life journeys to Golden Atlantis, Lemuria, and it is just 11:11. And so the link is below. If you feel called to join us, I would love to have you there. Subscribe to this channel if you're new here. And if you want more teachings like this, we talk about many, many things. I'm here to support your journey and supporting your beautiful light work. Subscribe, like, and share if that feels right for you. And take care of your beautiful body, your heart, and your energy. You're so precious. And trust that you don't have to understand everything immediately. Awakening unfolds layer by layer. And sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply notice how you feel, what your soul is trying to show you, and just pay attention. Let's create a new beautiful life together. I love you all. Blessings. Bye-bye.